Cool. Do you mind me asking kind of how often do you invest into the GameStop Marantz and even potentially sort of how much you had invested in GameStop over
Sure.
the years?
So I've been investing for almost 3 years now in GameStop. And currently GameStop makes up around 25% of my portfolio. I have well over 5 figures in it. And I will continually to buy in it. Want to get to that 7 figure mark for GameStop over the next couple of years, and that's my plan to get there. But slow and steady, one share a day really helps out.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, there was no cutouts there on my end, so that's all good. Cool. I guess you did actually mention this. Do you buy, like, you still go GameStop, you kind of visit it? Because I know there is also a thing in the movement where people are quite enthusiastic about
I'm looking around for all the stuff I bought for Chris. I bought my son so much stuff. No, do I shop at GameStop is the question. And do I still go? I go once a week, if at a minimum. I get to know the management team there. I have conversations, and I talk to people. This holiday season, what I did was I went to GameStop, and I bought bags, the black bags, and I asked people to go ahead and fill them up, and I paid for the products. I gave them bags on the way out the door. I had some kids try on hats, and I bought them their hats. I try to buy as much as I can at GameStop and try to support the company. And I would even tell you, my employees that work with me, they all got GameStop gifts. I only buy GameStop, and they know that. So even my wife was like, "What are you getting me for Christmas?" And I said, "What do you want from GameStop?" They know I shop at GameStop, and it's a routine thing for me. But I have so much pride in it now compared to when I did before. Now it's just a whole nother world because, we have this thing. We have this love for each other, I guess. So I love GameStop.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you noticed kind of amongst other GameStop like retail investors that is the case? Like it's seen as kind of a big thing of going and buying from.
The biggest thing about GameStop investors that I've noticed so far is that everyone's proud to wear the shirts, the jackets, the hoodies, and show their receipts. Show you that they're actually supporting the company more so than just buying shares and hoping and praying the management does the right thing. Helping out with margins. I've seen GameStop investors buy refurbished items, buy warranties that they would never buy the pro memberships. They're doing everything they can to help out the bottom line. What gives you the biggest profit margin? And everyone's doing that. So it's phenomenal for me. So that's what I'm doing as well.
Perfect. Was that all good, Ayaz, by the way? Because I think my internet started tripping up a little bit. Did you manage to get Marantz?
Yeah, yours bugged out a little bit, but Marantz was clear.
Okay, that's perfect. I think that's fine. That I will get that on my end, even if I was bugging out a little. Okay. Awesome. Yes. Okay. Cool. I think maybe going back to GameStop as investment and kind of your thoughts around it and predictions. I suppose where are you at in terms of the kind of returns you expect to make from your investment? I know you mentioned you want your portfolio to potentially go into the 7 figures. Where do you kind of see this going long term?
Sure. The investment itself of GameStop, where I see it going on long term, it's infinite for me. I use my investment strategy for a place to park my wealth. As I make money each year, I put money away. You might put money away in a 401k. I'm treating GameStop just like that. So there's no exit for me at this moment. I don't see anything. I have the opportunity to invest into Costco versus GameStop, and I do 50-50. I go half my check into Costco, half my check into GameStop, whatever's left over. So that's how I've been investing for the last 3 years, and I'll continue to do that. But it's just a place to park my wealth overall. I'm treating it as a big savings account for me. So nothing's going to trigger me out of it because I don't need the money. I work for a living, and I'm not looking to retire anytime soon.
Nice. And I guess maybe a line or two, what would you sort of say to the average person if they were like, "Hey, Marantz, why should I join in on this play?"
In a line or two, how could I explain GameStop to anybody? Go watch my channel. No, I'm joking. The truth is this: GameStop fundamentally is headed in the right direction. We talked about it last night. We talked about it the last week, the last year, the last couple of years, where we explain how GameStop's fundamentals have pivot and changed, and they will continue to do that behind the leadership of Ryan Cohen. So I would have them do their homework on Ryan Cohen, have them do their homework on GameStop and where it's headed, and look at the trailing 12, the actual fiscal year so far for GameStop, where it's been pretty amazing.
How do you think GameStop kind of compares right now, I guess, to sort of other places in the market at the moment?
Well, if we're looking at the retail sector, GameStop's.
Sorry.
No, yeah. James went crazy on that one. Yeah.
That was you cut out and then sped up really quickly. So, do you mind just doing that one again?
Yes, no, of course.
That was awesome.
Yes. How do you kind of see? How does GameStop compare to other plays in the market at the moment?
Well, there are other plays in the market. Everyone asks me, how does GameStop compare to other investments that you could be making? And I would tell you, on the retail sector side, I've only seen about 2 that actually trigger the same type of interest for me. And when I look at it, I always think about the balance sheet, I think about the cash flow chart, and then of course the income statement. So when I look at the 3 things that you want to evaluate the company on, and then you look at the board of directors, I think GameStop's head and shoulders above most. And if people knew that, if they actually knew the direction and they knew what the balance sheet meant, having minimal debt, having all that cash on hand, and then Ryan Cohen with the ability to invest with it, it's the best value stock that I can see. So value-wise, I think it's great. I think it's fundamentally undervalued. I think so many people pouncing on top of it just sparked my interest even more. So yeah, I love GameStop. I take it over everything. People want to buy Apple at the top, not me. Costco at the top, not me. That's why I've shifted a little bit more for GameStop recently.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think we'll talk a bit more about this in a second as well. But I guess from obviously there's a lot of research that you've done on GameStop and the play as a whole and even other areas just even outside of GameStop. Is there anything that you've discovered from your research that would mean for some kind of broader consequence for the world at large or even just the economy at large?
I'm not really understanding that question. Can you ask me in a different way?
Yeah, I suppose what's interesting, I guess I'll kind of give you the context because I know that when I sort of have spoken to people inside of the GameStop community, there is this idea that because of certain levels of corruption, whether I know we talk obviously a bit about the private equity angle and we'll go into that a bit more as well.
Sure.
Due to some of these angles, seeing some kind of whether it is like a short squeeze or something of the like in GameStop, that could potentially trigger either a consequence where we see a change and shift in financial markets through regulation, or even depending on how extreme you go, this could mean, hedge funds collapsing, etc. I suppose from your own research, what I'm getting at, is there anything that you've kind of noticed could be, aside from just GameStop on a fundamental level rising in share price, is there any other bigger consequence that you can see happening from this play?
The consequences that I've discovered over the research and see like the effect it would have on the broader markets would be something where the SEC brings in new rules, which they've been doing, the new transparency rule for short sellers, and they call it the GameStop rule. So I think GameStop has an effect on the markets. It has an effect on how we actually run our financial system. And I think it's in the back of everyone's mind even today. I think the short sellers are opening positions with the idea of we don't want another GameStop. So they have retuned and refined what they do. And in verse, we, the investors, and not the ones that have lost money, not the ones that are chasing bankrupt companies, but those individuals are always looking for the next GameStop. And there's only one. There's only one thing that you can buy that would trigger something. And that's just what I'm in right now.
Do you think we could see, similar to how like in early 2021 we saw sort of like the eventual collapse of like Melvin Capital, do you think like we could see a potential situation like that happening with other hedge funds short on GameStop?
Absolutely. Other hedge funds that could collapse from GameStop is a definite, and I'll explain why. There's financial firms that have money, right? The GPs, the general partners, and they get ultra wealthy individuals to invest, or pension funds or hedge funds to invest in their fund. And when they go out and buy securities or buy up debt and or buy a short position, take up a short position, they're holding that wealth for X amount of years, might be 5 to 10 years from now. So you'll see funds start closing like we have seen in the past. Archegos and Melvin, and then of course there was another Tiger Cub fund that just closed. But as they close, and you go through it, you'll see how everything falls apart. But they might be holding on to a GameStop short right now and or a swap with it. So I'd give it 5 to 10 years to play out, and you'll see people's money dry up. I apologize.
Do you plan on selling your shares? And if so, I guess when? And if not, why, I guess?
Sure. So do I plan on selling my GameStop shares? The question is, yes. If I were to lose my job, if my wife were to come on hardship, if there was a sickness in the family, yes, I would have to sell, right, to survive. But none of that's going to happen, God willing. I don't plan on selling my shares, James. It would have to be an act of God for me to sell my shares. That's how in tune I am with my investments, my strategy, and the way I'm not over leveraged. So yeah, I won't sell.
This has always been an interesting one, even in our last interview when you mentioned it, because I guess the natural question that comes after this, when people look at it as an investment, the idea is that at some point you sell, right? You make a return on it. Are you suggesting that you want to stay in as long as possible? Are you saying that you will never want to share at all, period? Or what exactly do you mind clarifying?
Sure. So the fact that I say I'll never sell is because I don't need the cash. I don't need the money. This investment is a savings for me and my family. I plan to pass it on to the kids and let them see just how great GameStop once was. If you were going to sell a company you first buy into, I give you this example. I'm in Costco, right? I've been in Costco for 11 years now on the stock side. And the price has gone up 100% in the last 2 years. Am I supposed to take profits? Am I supposed to sell? No, it's in my retirement portfolio as well. And I'm not going to sell there. I'm not going to make the call and be like, hey, let's get out of this. Let's move to this. And I'm just never leaving. I'm so loyal. But it would have to be a fundamental change for my life. When I invest my money, it's totally different than other people's mindset. This is why I have the channel to explain to people why I invest the way I do. I'm building wealth. I don't buy a house to flip it. I buy a house to hold it. It's a forever asset for me. GameStop is the same way for me. GameStop is my forever asset, and I'll sit on it. And I assume they'll pay dividends coming up real soon when you find out, we find out how I read the company and Ryan. But it's going to be forever for me for a long time. Yeah, and it's forever, right? A long time. Yeah.
It's interesting because I think, again, I guess we'll stick on this point for a little bit because it sounds like when you explain kind of how you want to pass it on to your children and how you view it as an asset, even in the case of, I guess, a house, there is an idea that this still has some kind of value to it, that if need be, it can be sold, etc. But it feels like GameStop as a stock, that feels like almost a different situation where surely the idea is that, or let me even go back a little bit. If, for example, it's just a case of holding on to the shares out of a sense of brand loyalty and care towards the company, what is even the point of talking about, the fundamentals or even considering where this could go or where the share price might go if the idea is that you're just going to be holding on to it regardless?
Okay, that's a great question and a great stance. You asked me, when will I ever sell the shares, if ever? And I would just tell you right now, my wife would divorce me if I didn't sell at $900 a share. Is that fair? She's seen how many shares, she's seen what I have, and she says, "Oh, babe, if it hits 900, we're out of here." Well, people laugh at that. People say it'll never get there. Or fundamentally, how will it ever get there? Years from now, decades from now. So I anticipate that run. I anticipate that timeline. James, if there was a catastrophic event, something amazing, right? MOAS happens, this stock goes crazy. If that were to happen, yeah, I would entertain the thought of selling about 50 shares. No, I'm more than that, whatever it may be. I have enough. I don't see it happening the way Wall Street wants it to happen. People celebrating, people doing documentaries, people doing, YouTube channels based off the fact that they made millions off of GameStop, like you've seen in the past with GME and people like that. It's not me. I'm not looking for a transition in life because of my GameStop shares. I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. I'm going to keep going to work, keep making videos it's not just GameStop. I make videos for education, for the private equity side of it, and just my life. I document the way I live and the way I fundamentally am able to stay grounded while having, a huge position in both, and a lot of securities. I should put it that way. So that's what I document. But yet people are asking if I'm ever going to sell. If I had to, I would, but I don't have to. No, sir.
Got you. I guess maybe closing out on this section, we sort of touched on it, but we'll have it maybe as its own question. What do you think is the future for GameStop as a company? And also, where do you kind of see the share price potentially looking in 5-10 years in the future?
Sure. Well, the future of GameStop is anyone's guess right about now. They don't give out guidance other than they tell you they're looking for a brick by brick growth, small pragmatic growth, realistic growth within the company. Where do I see the share price potentially going in 5 years? Well, let's just go up 100x every year. So I think at 100%, I think it could be at $100 a share. I really do. Within the 5 years. But with that happening, would that trigger a significant event? Would someone be over leveraged? Would a fund close? Would somebody have to go in and buy more shares? You'll never know. Do other people want to get involved once they find out what Ryan Cohen's cooking up? You know, his wealth behind it. You know, he's worth billions and billions of dollars. And so you wonder what's the partnership's going to come with that, or who else will invest with him. So I'm intrigued for it. That's why I'm invested in it, because it's intriguing in that way.